What is up, Overwatch Odyssey? We have got another matchup finally here for Group B. This is going to be the final match for the Respawn Raiders, and the Cowboys have another one after this. So closing things out for Stage 2, and we are getting ready for playoffs next week. And this will be a really good match. Cowboys sitting on top of Group B, looking to lock in that number 5 seed. But the Respawn Raiders sitting at number 8, hoping to climb the ladder a little bit further to get some optimal positioning here in the playoffs. We do have a very special guest. You all may know him as Ray, but Ray, what's cooking?
Hello, everybody. My name is Ray, also known as Bogus Bonus. DPS for Munchkins. I'm doing great right now, and I'm ready to see how this game plays.
Yeah, it should be a good one. The Cowboys have been very dominant so far here in Stage 2. They've just been looking phenomenal. So the Respawn Raiders definitely have a tough feat ahead of them, but I don't think anything is impossible, especially with the recently announced All-Star Gnar being on the side of the Respawn Raiders, but we do have a couple of All-Stars on the side of the Cowboys as well. So definitely going to be some good fights between, I think, those players. I'm going to be interested to see if we have any Gnar Gold Rush duels or Gnar, I mean, even Toothpick. I'm not going to take anything away from Toothpick. I've seen what Toothpick can do on a Venture, and I will say that Toothpick was definitely in the running for All-Star, but did not quite make it. So definitely a very solid line from the Cowboys, and looks like we do have the ready from both teams. So we're going to be heading first things first into Busan.
Indeed, this is Busan with a Ilios ban, I believe, from Cowboys, and honestly, even though the Raiders did pick this one, I think the Cowboys are pretty safe here. Violet Dart shows very high proficiency on the D.Va and the Ramacho, which you can play very well in both of these matches.
Yeah, I would agree.
But we're going downtown, I believe, on this first map, and that gives some pretty nice sight lines, just in case anyone, maybe it's Gold Rush or maybe it's Gnar, wants to play like a sniper or even bronze on main.
It looks like we saw a lot of the poke comp from the Raiders in their last match against Texas A&M Galveston, but they did have Strivey in at tank. For the side of Cowboys, looks like they're running more of a dive, and then we do have that sniper coming from Gold Rush, which could be a huge problem if the Raiders don't shut that down pretty early.
Yeah, we're probably going to see a lot of Winston, Genji, Lucio dives here, and Kiri's just there to sort of poke out and stabilize. We do see Gnar on the Hanzo, Jakey Wakey opting to go for Sigma, and Juan on the Zen. Quite interesting. And Violet Dart will get poked out by these Storm Arrows here, falling very low. There's the Cleanse. And Gold Rush will find the first pick here.
Yeah.
On main. Holding this lower is it tightens the angles definitely, but it allows for an avoidance of that poke coming in from Gnar, Jakey, or even Zen.
Looks like the Cowboys
that will be
up.
Yeah, the first point cap for the Cowboys really quick. The sort of a one and done, and Wana will switch over to the BAP. Hopefully, we match a little bit of this damage here. As Jakey Wakey sort of walks up, but this group up top here just sort of corralling Gold Rush, able to get some good line of sight and take down 2. It's looking pretty slow, but there's Jakey Wakey getting booped off, and a quick fight.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys, I think their win potential a lot comes from Gold Rush getting some solid damage even. Not even necessarily a pick, but just some solid damage on someone. And the rest of the Cowboys are just able to collapse onto that.
But it is true, it's like a double-edged sword because Gnar, if he's able to secure a good headshot on the Widow, that's a 4v5, and the Raiders opting to go for Orisa and walking through the corner here as infra sights are popped. Gold Rush will find Wanna and sort of be a little bit free on these sights here. Jakey Wake will fall quite low. Violet Dart jumps in. Good pick. Look at the deflect kill on Gnar, and it's just bronze on main with Wraith here to live. Unfortunately, does not.
Yeah, I mean, so far, Cowboys definitely showing that dominance that I was talking about earlier. Raiders hardly even getting a touch onto the point, let alone winning.
The Raiders will need to run. There's Ballistic, sort of messed through. Wanna able to get in with the assistance of the Immortality Field, but there's the beat from Ballistic. And Normal Freak will fall very low to the hands of Toothpick, and Gnar will find Violet Dart. It's not really that, it's not over yet. Toothpick will pop the blade, take out Gnar, and Jakey Waking bronze on main will just fall there. Quite unfortunate that Widow just had such a strong presence that entire game, and the Winston's able to just go in and out with the Genji and sort of just stop them from charging any ultimates or getting any leg up in the fight.
Yeah, I mean, just taking a brief glance at the scoreboard there, the only elim on the side of Respawn Raiders was on Violet Dart right toward the end when it was looking at overtime. I mean, if that doesn't speak for, if nothing else, I think just the cohesion that the Cowboys have and being able to stay grouped together and be like just a really unkillable force. Raiders going to have to really push through that and figure that out.
Seeing a lot more brawl on this point here. Violet Dart switching to the Ramatra. Toothpick on the Venture, trying to make something work. The Raiders will take the point to try and hold. And Gnar on the Sojourn will fall very low. We're in the middle of everything here. Bronze on main will chase down Ballistic. And it's a 4v4 here. Jakey Wake will fall very low to the Widowmaker shots. Ends up falling down. And without a tank, the Raiders need to back up. Bronze on main will trade out one before they go down themselves.
Maybe just trying to get the point there. It looked like Raiders maybe needing to back up, and Bronze on main kind of got split a little bit. Swapping to Widow now.
Yeah, this Widow mirror, definitely quite exciting. Hopefully, we could have wished it was on last map because it's a little bit better for the Widow, but Bronze on main will get corralled by this Venture as the brawl goes out on a point. There goes the arms. Violet Dart punching anything in sight. Toothpick will find Bronze on main in the back. And now Violet Dart will have an open season to walk here. Gold Rush finds Gnar. And Toothpick able to emerge onto Wanna. This one is just going quick. Bronze on main
Go ahead.
wants to mirror this. This Widow, but Toothpick is just being a scab to his side, and that's sort of what the Venture is doing. Oh, there's another nice shot. Getting two, but Bronze on main and Jakey are there to trade it out. It's an even fight, and Gold Rush is maybe even a little too far up. Trading shots, and Jakey is the only one on point. Gold Rush will win that duel, and Jakey is just left to deal with this Ramatra on point here. But Wanna does find Gold Rush. If the Raiders can go fast, they might be able to touch point and fight while up one. As the point ticks, there's the Tectonic Shock, and Wanna will fall. Booped off before touching. Gnar won't be able to as well. And that will be map one, going to the Cowboys.
Very nicely played from the Cowboys for sure.
Gold Rush is making some magic work on that Widowmaker. You know, personally, I wouldn't even play Widow on this point because of how brawly it is and how close it is, but clearly Gold Rush can make it work, and no reason not to.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at that play of the game, just a glimpse into what we were seeing from Gold Rush, doing some great things. But I think, as you mentioned, I mean, Toothpick, I think the word you said was scab. Toothpick was just being a pest to the Raiders and doing an excellent job at distracting and getting picks and doing everything a Venture should be doing. And then the rest of the Cowboys were just able to clean up and do what they needed to do. I got to tell you, Ballistic and Violet Dart running that Ram Lucy, that's pretty scary too when you get a speed boost Golden Gloves coming at you.
Of course. And that's what you want to see. That's why you run the Lucio on those brawl maps.
Yeah, and the dive looked just as clean from them, I would say. Just able to collapse on targets. I think really good target priority, target focus from them. Overall looked really, really good. We will be moving to either Escort or Hybrid for this next map. I typically ask this question, and it looks like we already have the selection, so I won't even get to. Teams going fast on this. Hybrid is going to be selected, and the Cowboys are going to ban Eichenwald immediately.
You know, I think, is this week 9 that we're in right now?
Yep. So this is
Eichen on the map pool? Look, it is. I don't think it is, but not. if Eichen was on there, I would ban it. So I don't blame Ballistic. I'm not a big fan of Eichen, but you know, looking at all of these Blizz, Kings, Paraiso, Hollywood, they're all pretty long sight lines, and I mean, you might want to take a Gold Rush off the Widow. You might want to take. Put them on maybe a Sojourn or something like that. Not to say anything to Gold Rush's abilities, but that Widow is sort of what the Raiders do not want to see in the next map. And I'm not too sure, with a choice, either the Gold Rush Cassidy or the Gold Rush Widow, which one do you want to see? But that just seems like two really bad choices. If you're the Raiders, maybe a Hollywood.
I mean, there's not a lot of great options, and if anything, I think that's just a testament to how lethal Gold Rush can be. But also, I mean, if you play Kings Row facing off against or trying to push into the Cowboys brawl is scary, or trying to defend against their dive can be pretty scary too. You're looking at Blizzard World, that same thing. I mean, I think that choke is make or break, just like in Kings Row. So definitely a lot of things to take into consideration, but it looks like we are going to be going to Blizzard World, and the Cowboys are going to opt to defend first.
Yeah, and you know, I will say I'd like to see, and unfortunately I am not seeing, but I'd kind of like to see Strivey on this. That Sigma was looking really well, and I think they chose defense because they didn't want to give Jakey the advantage playing that Sigma, you know, first off, and possibly even full holding with a good maybe Hanzo or something alike.
Sure. Yeah. I would agree, and I think defense is, I would say, almost in most cases, a safer choice.
Agreed. And it's just to, you know, to possibly end it out. You know, if you're confident on your plays, you can very easily full hold and then just cap with a tracer in the back or something like that.
Yeah.
We will have to
Like,
see what we bring out here because I do enjoy the Zen pick from Wana. I think Zen's kind of slept on, especially on these long sight lines. So if we can see a Zen being played, I wouldn't be heavily objected to it. It'd be quite the outcome.
you know, I saw Mauga, I saw Hanzo as we were getting the map initiated. That would be interesting. I will say that I don't know that I've seen a ton of Mauga or Hanzo come from the side of the Cowboys.
I think they were just messing around. I feel like the Cowboys might just run a Diva or a Winston. I mean, that's what's really good on this map, and you can play Diva quite well into a Sigma or um, something that Jakey would prefer to play on this.
It looks like, yeah, starting off on the Orisa, maybe Raiders saw some glimpses of hope coming from that last map, even though still a tough loss there on Busan. But they did get some picks. I can't speak right now, Ray. I don't know what's going on. They did get some picks, and so maybe they're hoping to continue that momentum with Orisa here.
We were able to find something. I'm hoping the Raiders opt to go up the right stairs here and maybe use this Mei to their advantage. Mei is quite interesting on Blizzard World in my opinion. But it seems like they're going far to this right side. I'm not too sure what that did, but sort of sneaking up it seems as Gold Rush on that Widowmaker. Jakey is able to see that and warn their teammates and going up to that right, but Gnar will be caught off. There's the wall blocking Violet Dart, but is able to just jump right out. And Gold Rush on this Widow will have clean sight lines, finds Normal Freak and Wana, taking down 3 this fight and getting traded out as well. So ideally, Bronzon main resets here and they go quick. But Gold Rush has already respawned by now.
Yeah, they're gonna have to use that speed ring if they have any chance. But looking at, yeah, I mean, Gold Rush is pulling up the point now, so and they're going that far side again. I really want to know.
I think it's probably to hide from any scouts or a Widowmaker sight lines. But they're doing the right thing, I believe, going up the stairs. A nice anti comes out, hits 3. Doesn't get any kills, but it's sure slowed him down a lot, and now they just need to communicate a good run here, but the wall will fall, and Wana goes down with it. Gold Rush absolutely running through. Now the Raiders need to decide, are we going to stay here, or are we going to reset, group up? And they're sort of just going to hope that Bronzon main on the Widow, if you stand corrected, Bronzon main's going to try and match the Widow as Violet Dart comes to jump onto the high ground, getting a little bit of poke damage, farming up that ultimate. And Gnar deep onto this Mega. Gold Rush will take 2 down while Gnar just fights the back line. It's too easy for this guy.
Collapsing now onto Gnar.
Yeah, just able to take him out. Clean up the scraps. There's just a minute and 16 seconds left for this fight.
Yeah, kind of like what I was getting at earlier. I mean, I don't think there's a map that the Raiders really have to choose that isn't good for the Cowboys. At least that's the way it seems right now. So just picking Blizzard World, maybe their best course of action. Jakey swapping to that Sig, hoping to get more of a poke, looking to see if Bronze can get that first opening pick and open some things up.
They have these 2 snipers, so if they're able to get one, well, that'll be it. But there's the Nano onto Violet Dart, and they just have nothing for the Winston. That's what having 2 snipers does. Wanna in the back line right now, sort of trying to squish the spider even, but 30 seconds will go by quite fast.
And 4 ults online for the Cowboys as well. Just Orbital and coming up on Coalescence.
Yeah, I mean, those are the only 2 people that haven't changed their character. Bronze on main finds an opener. Are they able to touch? It does not look too good. Gnar will get focused hard, but Wanna will make it on the point. Gold Rush takes 2 though, and Violet Dart pops the Primal. It's really just Jakey there, unfortunately.
And Jakey unable
Balls
to
and
touch.
That'll be round 1 with 0% on the board.
0-0. Switching sides. Initiating match.
I think we'll see Monkey again from Violet Dart. I'm calling that now. I'm expecting maybe more of a dive esque comp, unless they want to run like a Symmetra TP onto the other team and just brawl them to death. But I mean, they just have 1 tick. Really, 1 fight needs to be won and won pretty quick, so there's no constant staggering or anything like that. But still, definitely in grasp of the Cowboys. We'll have to see what the Raiders are gonna try and pull out here to counter that. Again, looking at things through that first defensive hold from the Cowboys, only 2 deaths from the Cowboys. So maybe there's just a lot of damage output and not enough of finishing things off. But I mean,
it doesn't look like they're given much breathing room with the Widowmaker threatening a lot. But I can't help but feel like the Raiders may be choosing the wrong strategy here. They are going to hole up on point, which is probably the second best if I had to choose, but a Sigma holding height, in my opinion, I think could win. Gnar almost getting their head taken off, but lives. And here's the heavy brawl on the point. Both Widowmaker are going to make contact with each other. Gold Rush falling low. Not getting topped off yet. As Violet Dart and Toothpick start the dive. Lazy goes for the great anti-nade. Normal Freak will fall. And if the Cowboys are able to stabilize, they will take this one back. Bronze on main fires back though. Violet Dart going very low on the point, having to jump out. There's recall from Toothpick. Toothpick will find Wanna on point. And Toothpick at half health, getting a little cap in. Violet Dart's back to full. Brawling this point. Bronze on main will find Lazy Ghost. Ballistic tries to deal with it, but Jakey popping the hands and take down Violet Dart.
Coming out.
And it's looking pretty. It's looking pretty.
Solid.
Yeah, it's looking like a pretty decent defense. It looked a little bit bad and then good. It's flip flopping a tiny bit, but if the Raiders can keep this one up, we might see the first draw, I believe.
Yeah, you know, I was gonna say something, but there was just under 3 minutes left, so I wasn't gonna try and speak anything.
Very possible. Yep, Jakey will fall very low. Toothpick on the side, and there's the dive. Normal Freak to target again, but Bronze on main will mess up the grapple a little bit. Raiders unable to trade it out. Gnar will get slept. Toothpick will clean that up, and there's the nano on a Violet Dart. Ults come out, and it's just looking pretty bad. There's the map 2 for the Cowboys.
I mean, I did say I didn't want to say it,
Play
but
of the game.
I mean, I think the Cowboys cleaned everything up that they needed to on that push that ultimately won them the map. And that's exactly what we expected.
Yeah.
Solid fight from the Cowboys, and
The defense wasn't too bad. Yeah, I did talk bad about the positioning, but it wasn't horrible. Bronze on main was able to grab, pick themselves up back, or even pick their team up back for that one fight. And Jakey on the Ramatra wasn't looking too bad into the Winston either.
yeah, I mean, definitely a big ask to prevent another team from getting a single tick. But I think the Raiders did what they could, and it looked, I mean, pretty all right. But again, Cowboys just able to get in there, getting some solid picks. Again, the coordination, the dive target on who they were going on, they were just able to capitalize on all that. And I think that looked really good, really clean from the Cowboys. Very, very nicely done. Rev in chat saying Gold Rush going to ruin their whole career, and I'll be the one to say I think Gold Rush did maybe squash some feelings there on Blizzard World. It looks like, so we're going to push next, and Runasapi is going to be the ban. I am not surprised by that whatsoever.
New Queen Street and Coliseum aren't really the best for a Widowmaker. Maybe Coliseum more than the New Queens. I mean, you can run whatever you want to run in that scenario when you've got such a dominating force like Gold Rush. But I mean, I feel like the Raiders can pull this one together. I will definitely say, you love to see an underdog come out. You love to see that reverse sweep. I mean, as long as you're not on the other side of it.
As long as you're not on the receiving end.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing something come out. If let's say Bronza or Nar wanted to play the Genji, and I feel like that could put a lot of pressure on Gold Rush. Kiriko coming out from the Raiders. If Wana can get a good right click on Zen, it's still anyone's game.
Yeah, I mean, you never say that it's impossible, but just kind of like what I was thinking from the start of this, it's going to be a tough ask because the Cowboys, everything that they seem to be struggling with in Stage 1, they seem to be cleaning it up and doing a really good job here in Stage 2, and I think this trend continues, so they're definitely hoping to close things out. Looks like we are going to be going to Coliseo next.
Alessio probably better for quicker, more maybe brawly or divey comps. Could definitely see Violet Dart on either Ram or Winston. I wouldn't doubt that fact. But Jakey's Ram hasn't been looking too bad. And I definitely believe in my heroes and the saviors. So can't wait to see how this match unfolds.
Initiating match.
I do think it's easier to sort of control angles in this. So if Gold Rush wants to play that Widow in this maybe suboptimal map, I feel like the Raiders would have a better time than ever in dealing with it.
Yeah, I think ultimately if the Cowboys continue to,
Ready for battle.
I don't know, they're playing a Diva dive, which I'll be one of the first ones to say I'm not sure that Diva entirely falls into the category of dive. flame me in chat if you want, but that'll
Same,
be
same as Hazard, I believe. Sort of
like a pseudo
just
dive
does
almost.
everything. Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
And we're seeing a little bit of variation here. Gold Rush, Genji, Jakey on the ball. Like trying to be like a soul read for bronze on main, but the Reaper kind of just seems a little out of place. The Raiders will engage from far left, right, I suppose, from the statue, and it'll sort of be an interesting fight. 4v4 as Violet Dart goes in with the boosters. Normal Freak and Ballistic are traded out, but Gold Rush will find Wanna. And it's just bronze on main here with Wraith. And opts to sort of give it up as Jakey is fighting the Lazy Ghost in the back. Yeah, Jakey gets, unfortunately, all of the bullets eaten, but Gnar will find it and get out on very low health. The bot is walking slowly in the Cowboys' favor as Jakey comes back, slams onto point. Toothpick slowly walking up to Normal Freak, able to find bronze on main very quickly, but Violet Dart will fall. Gold Rush finds Gnar in the back line with no support from the support, and Jakey will succumb to the same fate.
Man, that combo,
the Venture.
Yeah.
Venture is very similar to Genji, where you could sort of just be anywhere and get value. It's I don't want to say poor man's Genji, but it's definitely very powerful because of the amount of sustain you have, like a Mei and a Genji mixed. Not something you want to see on the enemy team, but there's the engage here. Jakey's gonna get discorded or anti and have that cleansed. The bot will not quite reach this point here. Toothpick will fall very low. Slight disengage, and there's the blade from Gold Rush. Wanna looks like it'll be the focus. Gnar pops his own blade and gets two. Nano ending up on Ballistic, probably very, and it's just Violet Dart on the point here, fighting Jakey and Gold Rush, I guess. And Jakey will not have arms to live. Violet drops the bomb. I sort of just blanked on that last there, unfortunately. But Violet would drop the bomb, grab mech back, and it's just the two there to cap forward spawn and left to disengage until the rest of their team comes back.
I definitely a solid decision. There is gonna be Blossom from bronze.
Be a fat finger or a really good disengage, I think, actually.
Yeah.
Both beats come out. Raiders with the later beat, so they will have the upper hand. Violet Dart gets out of mech, and Lazy Ghost will fall as well. Violet Dart in baby form is down 2. Gnar going very low on the point, but it looks like a disengage. But Toothpick will find Wanna in the back here. Gnar goes very low. Gold Rush is almost able to grab that until they fall, and this will be the first few meters for the Raiders. 66 is not like the end of the world at all.
I still don't
no
think first
circumstance.
checkpoint was obtained.
It was.
It was?
I believe it was, yes.
It
Just
looks-
right at the end there.
Okay. It looks grayed out to me, so I wasn't entirely sure.
I believe it was, but I may be wrong. There's the a lot of ults coming out. There's the rush. And speaking of rush, Gold Rush will find bronze on main. The tectonic shock from Toothpick takes 2. A nice anti from Wanna will drop some very low, but it won't be able to save Gnar, and Wanna will end up falling to just die on cart and hopefully get back before bot goes even further. Yeah, if the bot started pushing immediately, they did get forward spawn. But now we see bronze on main on the Sojourn. And there's the Nano Blade onto Gold Rush. There's bronze on main. Normal Freak getting caught out as well. Gold Rush opting to not find Wanna, but instead take down Jakey Wakey on point. Violet Dart will get mech back. Didn't have mech for a little bit there, but the Nano Blade was a perfect cover. And honestly, just a perfect team-winning fight here. That is no ults for the Cowboys. A few for the Raiders, so the Raiders are able to likely bring this one back.
Yeah, they're going to want to take this fight pretty quick with Toothpick coming back from spawn.
Wanna falling very low to Gold Rush's destruction, but the Annihilation comes out, and Violet Dart will fall to that, and Toothpick will opt to reset. That's 106 meters for the Cowboys, and the Raiders only had to use one ult for this. However, the Cowboys are coming up on 2 here, so it's entirely possible for them to just sort of beat anything that they don't like and push this one right back. Seeing a brawl on the point here. The Nano Blade will come out and Beat will be there in response, but Gnar will find one and Ballistic will fall. Yeah, even with Beat, that Nano Blade is disastrous. Violet Dart, Toothpick, and Gold Rush were in the backline that entire time. They were able to even out and do a backline trade, and now Jakey and Gnar have to back up here. They aren't able to fight the rest of them. Jakey will pop the arms as Gnar ends up dying on the midi, and Jakey will fall very low. Only just a few meters added to their current score. A crappy brawl here as the Nano Blade comes out. Gold Rush is able to get 2 with that slash. There's 3 as Bronze on main tries to pop the overclock in order to mirror it, and Gold Rush getting 4 that fight. Able to, with the help of their team of course, make that only just a 1-player loss, and that is just Toothpick coming right back.
Oh, man.
Oof. Unfortunate. And it's now just a 4v4. The Raiders do not have that advantage. There's the excavation and the rush as the bomb gets through. Freak and Wanna are the only ones left on point. Wanna doesn't really have much other than a fade and a heal orb. And that will be the full cap to end the match. Cowboys with a 3-0.
Play of the game.
I mean, the Nano Blade is very difficult to deal with, just in general. It's an unstoppable force at some points, and it's just you sort of just hate to see it at that point, without any ultimates to sort of trade it out, like a Transcendence or even a Beat, which at some points just isn't enough, and that'll end this map. A very quick 3-0 for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't say that I would expect anything less from the Cowboys. I mean, the Cowboys are a solid team, and I think just some of the practice and consistency that they have as a team, that they're able to play, I think that's really good. Good on them. Able to really solidify the things that they're good at, and just continue to work on those. Yeah, I mean, really well done by the Cowboys, and coming away with a solid 3-0 victory. Looked really good. For the side of the Raiders, Push had some moments for sure. Controlled defense looked pretty okay, but just still some things. I think, granted, there may have been a little bit just like a general skill difference there as well. If we're just going to, I'll say, arbitrarily base things on competitive rank.
Yeah.
But I think also just taking into consideration the coordination of the teams as well. Yeah. I think that's what sets these two teams apart. Cowboys are actually going to be going up against XL2C here, and that'll be later in the week. Unfortunately, will not be streamed, but the Cowboys and XL2C are going to be vying for that 5th seed, as that will be up for grabs. Really, at the end of the day, whoever comes away with that is going to be the number 5 seed, which is going to be. It could be pretty big. It'll determine who's going to be going up against XL2A first. So we'll just look to see what that looks like. Raiders hoping to be clinging on to that number 8 seed. They are maybe dropping here. If they do drop to 9, they will have to go through 2 best-of-3 play-in games before they even make the playoffs. So that match that's going to determine that for the Raiders. So Steamboat is actually going up against. Oh, sorry, Steamboat actually lost to XL2C already. So it's possible that the Raiders hang on to that number 8 seed. But Pistols and Texas A&M Galveston will be playing later this week, and again the Cowboys and XL2C will be as well. But yeah, so that will be all of the Overwatch Odyssey action that we have for you on stream, unfortunately, this week. But next week, be sure to stay tuned because we are looking like we may have our tournament next week on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Still kind of deciding what that's looking like, or whether or not we'll just try and play it all on Saturday. That'll be, I believe, the 26th. Yep, that'll be the 26th. So that's going to be a long day of Overwatch Odyssey action, but it'll be an exciting and a fun day of Overwatch Odyssey action. So I'm excited to be there if that is the way we decide to go with things. But on the flip side, we can't forget. So Monday we have some of the mini games, including Widow 1v1. We've got Torp Hammer 1v1. We've got Lockout 3v3 tournaments coming up, and then of course highlighting some of the top players from the Overwatch Odyssey Season 2. We will have the All-Star game that is going to be Tuesday. I believe we set the time for 8 p.m., but I will send updates to everyone here on stream so you're up to date with everything that's going on in the Overwatch Odyssey. Thank you all for being here this evening, and we will catch you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Never know wanna be gangster trying to play hard.